With the amount of mail-out voting and the lack of Republican oversight in many key Democrat cities, it does raise a lot of eyebrows. Now, when I talked to Jenna Ellis on the program earlier, she said a lot of the Trump legal team focus is transitioning, as you mentioned, to state legislators, to putting the evidence in their hands. That's ultimately who makes the call about electors. What is the Trump legal team hoping to get? What result are you hoping from that strategy?
Yeah, they do. The legislatures do make the ultimate decision under Article 1, Section 4. So we're showing the evidence. It's up to them to make the determinations. But I think right now, what is most paramount right now, Governor Kemp went on Fox News and he said this. He said, I'm now convinced that, there's a lot of evidence here. So we need to have signature match. This Stacey Abrams deal should not be the law of the land. But I'm powerless to do anything. That's the Secretary of State's decision. False, Governor Kemp. You have the power to call a special legislative session, because right now, if we lose these 2 Senate seats, guess who's casting the deciding vote in this country for our government? It will be Kamala Harris. Call for the special legislative session. Governor Kemp can also threaten the budget of the Secretary of State. There is plenty he can do. But when we talk legislatures right now, Pete, what is paramount is Georgia right here, right now, making sure that we hold this branch of government.
So that we're clear, this is the White House press secretary calling for a Democratic election to be overturned because otherwise her party might be out of power. They're not even bothering to pretend anymore, and instead just coming out and saying that the legislation should overturn the will of the voters, because unless they do, then the Democrat who won the election will rightfully take office. If this was happening in another country, how do you think Kayleigh McEnany would describe it? I should also mention that an unintended consequence of Kayleigh's Banana Republic rant is that she inadvertently admitted that Kamala Harris would be the president of the Senate. And the only way she'd become president of the Senate is if she and Joe Biden had won the election, considering the vice president presides over the Senate. In other words, in her desperation for this anti-democratic power grab, she accidentally admitted what the White House has fallen over itself not to admit, which is that Joe Biden won the election. Guess it's kinda hard to keep your story straight when you're both gaslighting your supporters and calling for elected officials to subvert democracy to help a failed president illegally stay in power. Now, as for Kayleigh's rant, she claims that we need signature match. Only here's the thing, the election in Georgia already had signature verification. And not just once, it happened twice in that state. When a voter requests an absentee, otherwise known as mail-in ballot, the application requires a signature. That signature is compared to the signature in voter registration files before a ballot is sent to the voter. And then, when the completed ballot is returned, the required signature on the outer envelope is compared to both signatures in the voter registration system, the one in the voter registration file and the one from the application request. In other words, Kayleigh is gaslighting the audience by demanding something that already exists and is codified into law. And look, that is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the lies that this White House and campaign are telling in order to trick their supporters into thinking that there's something where there is clearly nothing. But the point is that they would rather subvert democracy in broad daylight than accept the results of a free and fair election. And those results show, as clear as day, that Trump lost. Consider this, if the election was actually rigged by the Democrats like Trump claims, why would Democrats have lost seats in the House? Why would they have failed to take the Senate? Why would they have failed to take state legislatures, especially ahead of redistricting? Republicans actually overperformed in this election from coast to coast. The person who didn't perform well was Donald Trump. That's it. It was him, unilaterally, who was rejected by the voters. And a good guess as to why he was rejected was this exact anti-democratic behavior that people like Kayleigh McEnany are displaying right now. It was exactly Trump's belief that he's the king of America that resulted in a record 80 million Americans voting him out of office. All Kayleigh's doing by showing up on national television and calling for her party to steal this election is validating exactly why she'll be out of a job come January 20th. If you like this video, please check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I take a deep dive into the week's most important stories and interview major players in politics, including Kamala Harris, Katie Porter, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Eric Swalwell, Mary Trump, Al Franken, Cory Booker, and many, many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.